see.
The surprising move marking a new strategy as the administration looks to engage Gen Z and younger voters, meeting them where they are. And the thing is, it's a fast-growing corner of the social media market.
Yes, it is. And joining us now, a viral sensation in his own right, 19-year-old political commentator and chairman of the RNC Youth Advisory Council, Brilyn Hollyhand. I know I was going to mess it up. Hollyhand, and the best-selling author of One Generation Away, Why Now is the Time to Restore American Freedom. Good morning to you, and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. Happy Friday, everybody.
Happy Friday.
Good to see you again, as always. But Brilyn, I was a little shocked by this, right? Well, let's listen one more time to the first White House TikTok that went live Tuesday night.
Every day, I wake up determined to deliver a better life for the people all across this nation. I am your voice.
I must admit, that's a beautiful post. Seems like another fun way for the president to reach Americans, especially young ones like yourself. What was your reaction?
I think it's amazing, and I think it's a great step in the right direction for the famously called Grand Old Party to move into the 21st century and modernize a little bit. You know, the very first thing I told the president in his campaign when I joined the team a few years ago was the days of taking out an ad in the Sunday paper are over. We've got to modernize with the times. We've got to come into campaigning in a non-traditional format. And the whole reason that President Trump is sitting in the Oval Office this morning is because he ran a non-traditional campaign, because he got out of the box. And I think joining TikTok is a great way. But what I would urge my friends at the White House watching Newsmax this morning is not to stop at the For You page. I'm begging them to please continue to reach out to Gen Z as we get ready for 2026, as we get ready for 2028. Don't just put all of your eggs in the basket of TikTok. I'm putting out ideas like maybe have the president host a modern day fireside chat. Maybe have him host a monthly podcast where he sits down in a format that worked so well for him during the campaign to just give a review of his accomplishments once a month to Gen Z peers, and maybe even go on a campus speaking tour. Go directly to college campuses, speak directly to my peers. That right there is how we keep the Gen Z for GOP.
Wow. You just broke my heart, Brilyn. You just told me to get out of the way. No more full-page ads in the paper. Like, wow.
He's old school, and I'm older than him. But anyway, yeah, social media has certainly been a game changer. But Brilyn, this decision isn't without controversy because Republicans continue to sound the alarm about the app's Chinese ownership and possible national security risk. But the White House now finds itself competing for clicks and likes on the very platform it once sought to remove. So what are your thoughts on the about face?
Yeah, I had an opportunity to meet one-on-one with the president during the campaign. TikTok was actually the issue of that meeting, deciding does the campaign get on TikTok? What are the repercussions of that? And what I told him was pretty direct. I said, sir, it's one thing if the United States as a country bans the app. But at this point in time, Republicans putting this self-imposed, sanctimonious boycott on the platform is just letting the left win the platform. Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, all the United States senators on the left that were trying to make a big fuss on TikTok, they're not getting off the platform. And so the second that we just put this self-imposed boycott, we are conceding and waving the white flag to them. So getting on the platform, at least while it's in the country, and obviously, negotiations are pending of what happens with that, is the way that we move forward. The way I explained it to the president in that conversation was, think of the Republican Party like an old, good Southern Baptist church that I'm a part of. Think of our party like something that maybe didn't put an emphasis on a youth group growing up, and as that congregation passes away, so does the church. But a church that puts an emphasis on a youth group growing up, well, there's then a generation to pass the baton to, and the church continues to thrive. That is how the Grand Old Party goes into the future. That's how the Republican Party not only wins in the midterms, but wins in 28 with J.D. Vance at the helm, but we go right into the future and make America great again.
Look at Brilyn getting on here, preaching the new gospel of social media. Well, you know what? To that point, based upon what you just said, I want to ask you this question. Yeah. When you look at President Trump, obviously getting on TikTok with this dynamic first post, but you have people on the left also doing it, like Gavin Newsom and things of that nature, really embracing social media to reach younger voters and influence older voters as well to try to get them to come back to the party, or in President Trump's case, getting more engagement so that way we can get them to the polls. With that said, I think this is a dynamic strategy for another reason. Because when this is ultimately sold, to an American company or American investor is actually giving them a good foundation to build on. Why? Because the president of the United States is using the TikTok platform. Did you see it that way?
Absolutely, and this is just another great win for America, and it'll be a wonderful win for our economy here when this platform does get bought by an American company. What I'll say specifically for just what you're talking about with Gavin and some of the Democrats trying to embrace the platform, if you look at Kamala's campaign just a few months ago, that was the perfect made in a lab, consultant's fever dream way to approach Gen Z. They had the trendy buzzwords like joy, they had Megan Thee Stallion and Beyonce walking out and endorsing her in campaign ads, yet there was a big difference and vibe shift there where she was screaming at Gen Z instead of talking with us like the president does. That's what Gavin Newsom's continuing to do on Twitter today. He's spending more time running for president than he is actually running his own state that's literally on fire, and he's screaming at Gen Z on social media instead of coming to college campuses and talking with us. President Trump and I came to an Alabama football game where he threw Denny dogs out into the stands and talked to students in the student section. When are we going to see Gavin Newsom do that? They can't because they're scared.
They're scared. You got to say it right. They're scared. Oh, the bottom line, Brilyn, are politics in 2025 shaped as much by online algorithms as it is by policy?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's such an important tactic in going into races like this. You can't ignore social media anymore. It is the town square. It is the For You page for all of my peers. It's where they get their news in a non-traditional format. And ignoring that is ignoring the future of this country. And thankfully, the grand old party is modernized, and we're no longer ignoring that.
All right, you got a big, beautiful smile there, but how about those grades?
Hey, they're good.
Your first year at Auburn, how's it going so far?
It's been good. This is my first week in college. I'm at Auburn University. I couldn't be more excited about it. Today marks the end of my first week of class. I've got to go to an English class and a public speaking class after this. So hopefully we can tell them Newsmax was a good excuse.
Well, I'll sign your note. Don't worry about it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, Brilyn Hollyhand, thanks so much for joining us. We wish you an amazing, successful future.
I appreciate it. Y'all have a wonderful weekend.
You too.
You got it.
Well, shifting from Gen Z to Gen X, I don't even know where I am. But anyway,